Well, I think this is Saturday, February 2023. This is my third day without the internet. There's been some problem which I will not explain because there's no need to go into it. It's not a problem to me. Usually, when people cause me troubles and problems, it's a problem to them. And it was so funny because my husband made me laugh today. He was talking to one of the people that were messing around with our internet. So many telephone calls to different places, and one says the other is a scam, and the other says this one. So then one man was talking to him. Young man says, "Well, you got lots of troubles. You're in trouble." And my husband did what he always does. Very matter of factly tells the truth. And he said, "No, I'm not in trouble. They are." And I just about fell over because the kid on the other end laughed and he said, "You're right." Because it's true. Um, I enjoy those things about my husband. They are the things that caused me to love him almost 60 years ago. I could have destroyed all those things. I share a lot with you because sometimes the truth is just like the Bible looking in a mirror. You see yourself, and those moments that you see yourself, you could turn away from and say, "God, I didn't know I was like that. I didn't know that I had done that. I didn't know. I didn't understand." I think this, and I believe that the Lord had revealed this to me, that this nation full of people who uh, do things that are so self-indulgent, self-satisfaction, self-instantly entitled. And that entitlement built up their ego. And people, because they suffer, they feel they're entitled to have this because they went through something. Because their ancestors suffered, they're entitled to this because they went through something. And because of this entitlement, it grew out of proportion. It grew to a place where no pity, no compassion. And you even got to a place where I'm a Christian and I'm not supposed to suffer. Jesus Christ died, so I won't suffer. So therefore, it doesn't matter what someone else thinks. It doesn't matter what someone else says. It doesn't matter what someone else does. I know because God told me in His Word, I know this is the way it goes. And so therefore, on the other end of life, with a potential brother or a potential sister or a potential mother in the Lord or father in the Lord, they're cut off. There is no power for salvation for them. There's no way to reach your heart because you are positive who you are. You're positive God put you on this path. You're positive God told you everybody else is going to pay, but you're entitled. You gave your life to God, and no man can compare with what you have done or been through. No person could ever dare say, you're going to stand before God. Now, I'm talking about what's in you, in here, not what's in me or anybody else. I'm talking about God's revelation of what is in you. And if you're this kind of person, listen carefully, because it means your life. It means everything. You're so positive that when you make your mistakes, why, they're just Don't pay any attention to them. God will take care of it. Well, okay, so I hurt so-and-so. So big deal. But maybe, just maybe, that person on the other side of that pain, maybe, just maybe, they've been seeking God. And maybe they've been crying out to Him, talking to Him about how they should change and what they should do. And maybe, just maybe, He put you right smack dab in front of them so they could see an example of a true believing Christian. After all, you claim to be that. And maybe, just maybe, those are one of the days your ego is all built up. You're positive. You know what you're talking about. After all, you spent all night in prayer, all night talking to God. You worshiped all day long. You did all that's required of you. So therefore, you are entitled to trample on someone today, to have a lack of compassion, a lack of understanding. You are entitled to tell the truth no matter what. You can scream at them, you can holler at them, you can bamboozle them, because you're entitled. Because after all, you're that saintly Christian. You're that one that God chose. Well, He proved to me He chose me. He witnessed to me He chose me. He showed me He chose me. Well, look what He did for me. He did all of this for me. Look, this is what I've been preaching and teaching and telling all of you people. If you're not blessed, you don't belong to God. Where at in the scriptures did it say gain is godliness? Where? Where did it say gain is godliness? Well, after a while, I have the right words at the right time. I can tell them off anytime I feel like it. And whenever they are so ignorant, they won't go to my church. They are so ignorant, they won't do what's right in my eyes. I can tell them off. Where did He say in His word that gainsaying is godliness? Ooh, I thought I heard Him say He doesn't like gainsaying because you think you have the right answers at the right time, because you think you know how to put people in their place, because you think that you are able to do certain things. You're entitled. Because after all, God promised you this and He promised you that. And after all, I worked hard. I took that Bible every day and I sacrificed myself. I read it and I read it and I read it till it became a part of me. You see, it's inside of me now. I've got it. I've got the answer to that one. I've got the answer to that one. I've got the answer to this. I've got the answer to that. And you can't take it away from me. Do you see it yet? Do you understand yet? Do you see where the human mind can go? Do you see where the ego can travel to lift you up to think that you're more than what you are? Do you see yet what the flesh can do and the damage it can do to your heart and your mind? But worst of all, the damage it does to others, because it leads you into not all truth. It leads you into judgment, deception, lies, arrogance, pride, everything that you're not supposed to be as a Christian. What goes into the mouth comes out of the body. That does not defile you. It's what comes out of your mouth that defiles you. So if you're right in the middle of something coming out of your mouth that you know is improper. You know that it's wrong, but you do it anyway. And you say, well, God knows. He understands. I'm entitled. Hey, after all, I've had to put up with these people for how long? I've endured them. I've done everything you told me to do. I've endured them, Lord. You've seen how bad they are, what they've done, and how much inconvenience they caused me. You know, Lord, the sacrifices that I have made, that you just do what you told me to do. It's so difficult. It's so hard to be kind to people who have nothing, who know nothing, who aren't worth looking at, who aren't worth. Oh God, how can I have sacrificed myself for so long? Oh God, surely you see me and how much I need you, because I can't hardly take it at times. Self is a horrible place to be. Self will cause you to think you're doing something right when it's the opposite and it's absolutely wrong. Self is so selfish. Self says to you, well, I'm going to do this. I am really going to die to self. Uh, I'm going to make up my mind that I, I'm going to let everybody do whatever they want, and I'm going to help them all I can, and everything's going to be okay. And after maybe 1 week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 1 day, maybe 2 days, when you're busy working in self, not by the Spirit of God, you get tired. You get weary. That's why he said, don't be weary in well doing. You get weary because, see, you haven't been doing it in the Lord. When you do things for the Lord, of the Lord, with the Lord, you don't even feel it. You don't even think of it. You never know what the right hand is doing with the left hand. You never even think about how much you've given, how much you've done. It doesn't occur to you. All you know is you love him and that you're going to do what he says. It's not. And when you're enduring, it does not. You never say, oh, how am I going to take this? They are so horrible people. They are so, you never think that. Because it comes natural to love. It becomes natural. And if you're in the other side, that is because you haven't listened. You haven't heard God say what love is all about. You still have the old man climbing in and sitting on the throne of your heart. And so in the end, you might as well not have done anything. I know of a woman that did, oh my goodness, where every person around her would testify to the fact, the sacrifices she made, the things that she went through, everything she endured. In order to take care of somebody on her lunch hour, she would go and take care of them. She was just unbelievable in her power to do what she had to do. But when she talked to somebody that she thought was less than her, she cursed them, she swore at them. Somebody that she thought should have been right there to help them. Even though they were dying and sick, you should have been here. Even though they couldn't walk even, cursed and swore at them every single day. Called them names, called everything. Now, she's making all the sacrifices in front of people there is to make. She's doing all the right things at the right time. And surely she has a reward coming. But that one that irritates her, that she's been competing with for years, that she's been trying to put down to prove that she is a Christian and a better Christian than anything. That one, she curses and swears at daily. Oh, but she's a Christian. There's there's nothing wrong in her heart. She has all these witnesses to prove her works are holy and right. Why, she goes to church every Sunday and Wednesday. She does everything. But the second she lays eyes or talks on the phone to that one person, she curses them like you wouldn't believe. She hates them with a hatred that can be felt. You would have to hold that phone like this because she could batter you and bamboozle you. And as one of her bosses said, when you walk through the room, you make me feel like I need to crawl under that desk. Oh, but you're the great Christian telling the truth. You're the great one that does everything, but it's okay if you swear and you curse people, bring them down so they're beneath you. Jesus Christ told you, you your enemies are your footstool. Tramp on them. Bring them down. Don't let them get the best of you. Is your thinking like this? Do you understand why God says not to put forth your hand on another person? This is why he said, your prayer closet is filled with dead men's bones. Why would he say such a thing? You're an open sepulcher. Why would he say such things? Because inside of you, there is such an evil hatred, jealousy, deceit, all of that. And because you conjure up an ability to pretend, you're the best Christian in your eyes. And where the Bible should be a mirror, oh, it reflects this one's life, that one's. Oh, I've got prophecy. I could feel what they're thinking. God taught me how. Well, I went to the spiritual church of prophecy and I read this book and I read that book. I know what's inside of them as though it's not inside of you, not realizing that you're seeing a reflection of yourself, not realizing and understanding that when you see evil in others who are innocent, because they don't know what you know, they didn't hear what you heard, they never heard the gospel before, they never, and said, oh, that's impossible. We live in America. That's impossible. That's, oh, I want to tell you, the Christian that sits real high up, they don't never tell anybody about Jesus Christ. And you have to ask yourself why? Because they want you down. They don't want you up. They want you down. How do I know that? They did it to me. 50 years ago, I couldn't get up. All of them knew about God. They never said, I'm praying for you. They never said, don't you know Jesus loves you? They never said they were happy I was down. They wanted me down. Am I bitter? No. I thank God because now I can see where they're at and I can help them. The other way, I couldn't help them. I could never help them find Jesus Christ. I never knew that God wanted me to see beyond their faults and see their needs. I never knew that. I labored and worked to be obedient, but then I discovered that. I discovered that God loved them as much as he did me. I discovered that. That was one of the greatest discoveries that I ever made. That's why I rejoice for my past. That's why I rejoice for the things that I went through, because it taught me the fathomless depth of God's love. It taught me how to allow him to sit on the throne of my heart and love beyond. And so the very people that I talked to you about are the very people that God saved, the very people that God led to repentance, the very people that God enabled to see the truth. And the only way you are ever going to be able to stand before God is if God can see that love through you. God could see his son. Don't you see? Don't you see the secret? Don't you see? He'll see his son. He won't see you anymore because you've ushered you out. He'll see his son because you've replaced him. So now, if you name it and claim it, if you pound it into you and repeat it, when he looks down, will he see his son in a reality? Will he see his son motivated in love with people? Or will he see someone who has, I got to get it in there. I got to repeat it. I've got to get it in there. And when they're tempted, they get mean, they get rotten, because you see, old man still pops up his head and still says, I am king, that Jesus Christ is not king. Do you get it? Do you really see it, spiritual woman? Do you understand it, spiritual man? You who claim to have it all, do you see it? Oh, you studied all night so you could preach. You studied all day long so you could talk to someone. Oh, the sacrifice that you have made. It was such a chore to do this for God. The only one I know is never felt it. Never felt it or thought of it that way. Never occurred to me. Never occurred to the one that loves God to think that way. Why do I bring this up? In the hopes there'll be someone could see themselves enough to repent so God can love on them, can help them, can use them, can change them, can mold them, could make them like Jesus. So when he gets finished with the job of you dying to self, he's got a son, he's got a daughter, he's got one whose hand is upon them so much that he can love on you. That's all this is about. It's about his fathomless love, the depth of it. That's all these things are about. So when you say, oh, I understand love, oh, I understand what this is about, when you say, I have a beautiful message of salvation, I know how to spout this and I know how to bring forth that, and it's so beautiful. The message of salvation is beautiful. No one needs you to give it. But it's so simple. It is so easy. It is so simple to know he loved you beyond your faults and saw your needs. And those people that you only tolerate, that you only endure, that you only long suffer, and you almost cannot bear, they at times make you almost sick. Like when I was in Mexico, and I heard that there were preachers that went there with the poor. And I heard that there were some that vomited right on the spot. Because when the people come down from the garbage piles, slowly, one by one, they would show up and come down. And when they got in your presence, to them, they stunk so bad they puked. Because they live in garbage. But you know that one that loved God and was there for them didn't smell anything? They couldn't even hug them. But you know that one that loved God put their arms around them and felt nothing but love? What I saw when I was there was the richest people in the world. You know why? They were in the worst place that any man could be, any woman could be. And they held hands in a circle and worshiped God and thanked Him. They thanked Him with every atom of their being, for God gave them the grace to endure and overcome everything. Those are rich people. Those that have everything, they don't know. If you've ever lived without nothing, you know. Some, they've suffered a lot of things, and God blessed them. And thank God He did. Because I am telling you, whether you are rich or whether you are poor, it's how much Christ is in you. It's how much love you have inside of you. You know, that love that causes you to give and give and give. He says, don't get weary of well doing. That love that causes you to do. You know, some of you, and I'm so fortunate to know you, so blessed to know you. It's instantaneous. You see a need and boom, you're right there. You cannot bear the pain of others. You cannot bear it. You didn't have to go through what they went through. It's just in you. Some of you have it through the generations. Some of you are blessed like this because mother and father, uncle, grandmother, grandfather, they were all like this with a great deal of thanksgiving and love. So you got blessed, which is wonderful. It's so wonderful to know that God is like that. Some of you have had terrible problems in your background and in your past. But guess what? You are called to overcome it. You may be the only one in the whole thousands of generations that came through. Oh, wow. That overcome it all. What a wonderful thing.